It's a coop.
Yeah.
It's a coop. It's a chicken coop.
Yeah.
Are we taking hours? Are we doing?
One night only.
Ah,
Hi.
it is working.
We change it?
Did it come off?
Stuff in the mail and back and I needed
This is from the, when we did the one, I was saying, that's bad.
Because I figured you had it for your record.
Probably I should keep those, yeah.
Since you wasn't feeling good this morning.
My wage on $102. So.
Awesome. Thank you for this. Well, I mean, I know my kid.
I realized last
Yep.
meeting you never gave one.
That's because I am not respected or thought of fondly.
So didn't he have
So
some donated?
I
during
came
the
to,
meeting?
came to
During
expect.
the meet schedule?
And I appreciate
like that, so
That was the one thing I was like, I wish I had some money to bid right now.
attempt to rectify
But
that.
there's a lot of good stuff. Like, I love it.
Yeah. And still live. And both a council member and acting
He's just the president,
meeting person
just the president of the council.
and the
That's all.
facilitator of this particular meeting.
And apparently his vocabulary has increased. Secretary. Conduit. Do you have the actual 2017 codes in there?
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna get you out of here. Very important.
Is it online?
I have, well, I've got a scanned copy. I'm kind of thinking, I'm wondering what it means, whether it, I think it means that it overrules the codifications. It'll be pretty important for you.
All right, well, it says 7, so let's, all right, for pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call Annie,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
and myself all here. Is there a motion to adopt the?
I'm going to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carries. Approval of additions to appropriation ordinance 1467.
I'll move to approve appropriation ordinance 1467.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, Annie? What's that?
I'm good.
Okay, roll call vote.
Sorry, yes.
Okay. Brett?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Myself, yes. 4-0. Public concerns or comments? Yes, sir.
You have on the agenda to address, raising fees on the barracks, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I just wanted to, I did have some comments about that. My name is Larry Wall. I know two or three of you very well, and, I'm kind of here representing several of the barrack owners, the Allens, the Ortizes, the Merritts, Bowers, Rutledge, Erickson, Ladke's. And, as you contemplate raising these fees, I would encourage you to consider this. First of all, what services have you provided to the barrack owners over the last 25 years. Because that's how long, I think actually 30 for us, the walls and the lease of the Cernage. And I know you put a little gravel down there after the last time I was here for a discussion on that. And that's my question. Until you have a plan developed, for me, it would make sense, until you have a plan developed for what are you going to use this increase for? What have you used the past fees for in terms of improving the conditions around the barracks? I mean, everybody there has really upgraded those buildings tremendously. And again, what are we getting for our fees? Because it's the equivalent of a tax. Ultimately you increased our water fees. When you said, well, we're not going to disconnect and reconnect water, that ultimately caused all of us, because I was out there with several other people the last 2 or 3 days. We can't use water in the wintertime because there's no way to keep the lines open when the temperatures drop below freezing. So we're not consuming any more water, but our fees went up because now we have to pay monthly, 12 months, as opposed to the maybe 5 or 6, that we were using them for. So, that's a concern. We're not seeing any benefits or any. Do you have an answer? What have you used those fees for?
Well, for one thing, the doorway to the lake, as far as the outside of the lake, just along any right-of-ways, mowing those, keeping that, vegetation at bay. The gravel was mentioned in the barracks area in particular. I know there a lot of that doesn't have to do with the barracks area in particular, but we do use the lake fund to improve the lake in general. And that's, that can be campgrounds, that can be, I believe there was some kind of a stone building there that we did some work to that's near the barracks here recently. So
are there fees for that building?
Not particularly. I'm not sure on that building who owns it or what the story on that is. I just know that was rehabilitated in some fashion by a local stonemason.
Well, talk a little bit in question. Okay. Well, one other comment about the gravel and the road maintenance thing. Okay, because at $8,000 a year for the last 5 years, and that's kind of what you're saying. You haven't raised the fees. Well, there's $40,000 that we still don't have enough gravel down there until you have somebody that can come in with the proper equipment and put a crown on that road, because you can't do it with the equipment you currently have. You have to have a blade to put a crown on it, because the water continues to run right down the middle of every road out there. And my opinion, you need to hire somebody to haul in enough gravel and to grade it properly to eliminate the problem, or take these fees and put asphalt on it like everybody else in the Lake Improvement District has. But it's continuing to be a Band-Aid on the roads down there. And the snow removal, last year they came down there and any gravel that was on there, they plowed off right into the road. You don't need to put that blade. And again, I'm speaking from some experience. The blade doesn't need to go clear to the ground. We can leave 2 or 3 inches of snow down there, because everybody's got 4-wheel drives that are ever down there, which are very few people in the wintertime anyway. So, in conclusion, an increase in the fees should be considered when you have developed a plan for using those fees to benefit some of the barracks in some way. So that's what I'd like you to look at, is have a plan. Because we're willing, I mean, I think everybody's willing to pitch in a little bit more if we see a benefit, but I don't think we've seen any benefits in many, many years. So,
Aside from the gravel and the road, would you guys have any other ideas for improvement, or is that the main one?
well, I mean,
That's all the city's responsible for.
Okay, that's all. I'm just
you
curious.
did put a nice dock down there
Okay.
4 or 5 years ago, or maybe more.
It's been longer than that.
You know, we have access to that one city dock, but it needs some serious maintenance. I mean, they didn't do a very good job of creating there should have been a concrete pad there for access onto that dock, because they put concrete blocks and T-posts in there and they've eroded everything away. I mean, it's a leap of faith to jump from the bank to the end of the dock. That's a liability that you might also be looking at. Okay?
Yeah, it's-
Anything else? Any questions for me? All right, thank you.
oh,
Will
Thank you,
there be
Larry.
will there be a time during that discussion on the agenda for more public comment, or is this the time to?
Yeah, I think we'd entertain public comments here or then. Yeah.
I'll wait till you get to that area.
Okay, that's
If
fair
if
enough.
it's gonna be allowed, I didn't wanna speak if it wasn't appropriate, so.
I think if you're here, you have the right to speak, so that's, yes, sir.
I'll speak now and get it over with before I forget. Speaking as an individual, George Brown, Lakeville, Muncie. I'm a retired teacher. I'm living on papers and Social Security, and we haven't had much of a raise since 1998 when I retired. So I'm getting pretty stressed economically. I currently pay $620 per month on taxes and fees to the city and the county. And I just hope that you will consider some of our plights of the older people that are trying to get by out there. I know there are some that are much better off, but I'm not one of them. So please consider delaying.
Anyone else?
Well, one of the questions has been raised as to whether you do have a plan for this money that you propose to increase. Do you have any plans for the future, for definite plans, or are we just raising it because it's time to raise it?
Well, looking back, I mean, we've done the shelter houses, we've done some electric work out there. at
Well, we
the-
know what you've done in the past, but we're
Yeah.
talking about what are you planning for the future?
Well, I don't think we have like a 5-year plan or anything that we've tried to forecast. What are all the projects that, need to get done or ought to get done, or any wish list that anybody has.
Just Tim. Yeah, I know he was doing that.
Yeah, I know he is our lake representative, but yeah, I don't know if he has anything in mind either, but and as always, we would entertain any thoughts and projects that you guys see is out at the lake that needs to be done. That's the money should go towards something, and that's,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, I know that's, yeah, you guys' feelings too, so. But yes, ma'am, in the back.
I'd just like to second what George said. Those of us living on Social Security and pensions, this upcoming fall is looking like an awful hit for, at least for me, in taxes and that kind of thing. And I have said to several people, I'm just not gonna be able to stay here because I can't afford to stay here anymore. And I've been out at the lake for 21 years. So it's a heartbreak for me.
I'll just go ahead and add
Yeah,
this.
sure.
Well, Stephanie had shared revenue and expenses with me, and I just, the lake as a whole is viable, but when you break it down, I mean, the barracks generate $8,000 a year, the dock fees over $40,000 a year. And And I mean, those, you don't have the expenses to offset where you see a loss, except at the permit office. In the permit office in 2018, they generated like 28,000, but you spent over 30,000, and that did not include the campsite project. But it just seems to me if you're not making enough on a hamburger, you don't raise the price of the steak. You know, raise the camping fees, the boat fees, the fishing license. You know, make that part of the business, if you will,
Yeah.
viable. Like I said, the barrack and the dock fees, you're making
Well, and
50 grand.
yeah, just to be clear, I mean, we'll of course talk about it later, but it's not isolated to just raising the dock fees or anything. Everything's on the table as far as
Right.
camping and, you
But
know,
if you break it down as far as in the lake fund, you know, you kind of have three businesses: permit office,
Sure.
barracks, and the dock fees. And when you really look at the expenses, you're losing money at the permit office. Combination of, the contract with the caretaker or the permit office operator, your phones, your trash, your porta pots, internet,
yeah. Last season was an uncharacteristically crappy year with the drought, and
yes, it was.
I know the year before they had a really good year. I think they did 37,000 the year before, and that's off the top of my head, so it's probably not accurate, but in that regard showed a surplus, and I think improved the quality of that place in general quite a bit just on the work they put into it.
And I guess, speaking for myself, I think to raise those fees to accommodate the expenses at the permit office, that should be separate from, what it takes to maintain the barracks area, what it takes to maintain the docks area.
Yeah.
So, that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more comment from a lake resident, Justin.
Yes, sir.
If the increase that you're contemplating is in line with the cost of living increases that we've had over the period of time since your last increase, I could support that.
Okay. Everything's within 2 to 3%. That's
Per
kind
year.
of the general accepted cost of inflation. But looking back, like for example, this is just my proposal too, and I'm the one that brought it up last time, so I figured I need to, responsibly actually have something to present. But let's see, stock and structure fees last raised in 2012, so everything's pretty much 2.5% per year across the board, which equates to 20%. Was the actual what I proposed. So. If there's no further comments, we can get to all this in a moment. All right, department reports, Mike.
Yes, I will start. I got a couple things here. Water plant. At Alexander's out last week, we had a set of bearings go out on the mixer apparatus on our east clarifier contact basin, which does our primary settling before the filter. It took us a while to track everything down and find the right bearings. We ended up getting them from IBT and Emporia. It was about a day-long project. We got those in. They were completely shelled out to where they were tripping an overload on the motor controller inside that controls those. In turn, that did let the shaft come out quite easily. We could cut the sleeves off and get all the new bearings put in. The west contact basin is making noise and it's getting tight, doing the same thing. We're not quite sure how to do that because the bearings haven't shelled out completely, and to get the bearings to slide on the shafts, to get the shaft out the top, it's about a 14-foot deep tank. We're not sure how that'll work. We're going to try to do that on preventive maintenance, but we're not quite sure if we can do that without draining the tanks and actually getting in the tank and dropping everything down below to come out. We got lucky and could come up the top this time, but not sure there. The intake project that we had engineered by Kramer's and finally got approval from KDHE. We have everything in stock on our end, on Alexander's end with ductile iron pieces they had to get to do that. It hasn't been done yet. We are going to hopefully get that done on this year's books and get it done. So hopefully it's completely done and we can protect our gravity pipes with chemical to keep the zebra mussels out of those. In doing that too, our raw water pumps hang on stems in our raw well. They're iron pipe right now. They're very corroded. They've got a lot of tuberculation on them. What I called tuberculosis last time. We're going to replace that with Certalock pipe. It's locking plastic pipe that those pumps will hang on. It'll be good for the lifetime of that. That'll be the only thing outside of that project that they're going to do while they're down there on that end of the deal. Hawkins will be out next week again, which is a new chemical company I tried here a few months ago. Their polymers didn't quite work for us. We've been getting some chemicals from them. He's going to come out and run another set of jars now that our water's cooling down and do some testing and see if their chemicals work on higher density water, and then kind of adjust and see what else they offer that might work for us in the future. We have went back to Brentag's product and improved our turbidity and everything else that we had issues with Hawkins product. So we're going to keep working on that. The gas into the deal, I don't think I've been back since we completed the 56 highway crossing at Road M there at Northern Heights High School. We bored in high density polyethylene pipe under the road to replace a steel case crossing that was leaking there. We got that all completed. Everything went great and released the highway permit there. We're scheduled to go to OQ the end of this week. Hopefully, it starts Wednesday. I don't know that we'll make it Wednesday. We're going to try to get all three of us up there. It'll just be in Alma, so we'll be close. We're going to try to get all three of us up there Thursday and Friday to get some OQ in, and then we are all due. I know I'm due and Drew's due. Jim and I got a little bit in Auburn earlier this year. So whatever we don't get qualified for the gas system in Alma, we will finish our OQ in-house and do it ourselves, and maybe invite a couple of guys from maybe Harveyville, Alma, Osage, if there's any other overlap, that do a small class later in November with just us to make sure all of our paperwork's taken care of and qualifications there. Got a lot of stuff winterized. Got the park, got the lake, bait shop area winterized today. We've got the boat winterized, got our sprayer winterized. Hopefully everything's got antifreeze in it and is blown out and all is well there. We'll wait to see how bad the winter is and see what happens next spring. One thing I wanted to bring up to you, LWID is planning on doing a road project in about 5 years. I believe they're actually increasing their mills to fund that over the next 5 years. So we're shooting about 2024. As you may or may not know, we cost share a portion of those roads out there that we need to plan ahead for. And the agreement was that they would give us ample time when they made a decision to do something like that to prepare for that. I'm going to base this off a 2-inch overlay. I know they've talked about 2-inch, possible 1.5-inch overlay. None of our portion will require any milling. The estimate, which this depends on oil prices, all sorts of different things, right now for our portion is about $45,000. So that's something we'll need to think about and start putting money aside. And I would almost highly recommend maybe setting up something that you transfer from the lake fund, specifically earmarked for that. So depending on who comes and goes and the whatnots happen, that money is earmarked for that project. If it's a little more, a little less, of course, if it's a little more and it comes down to it, I think the lake fund will be able to handle that. But it unknowingly, if you got hit with a $45,000 bill, that wouldn't be feasible. And in 1 year, probably, with all the other expenditures out there. So
It's also something that Special Highway can help cover. Is that?
no, because that is not part of the city special highways for the city only.
Gotcha.
So no, that will definitely be funded by the lake fund.
Okay.
So, what some of those fees go towards. So that is a major project. I mean, the chip seal and stuff we did here, 3 years ago now, 2.5, 3 years ago. That was absorbed, which that's a lot less cost just to seal a road, but this will be an actual overlay on our portion of the roads, the entire roads, I think, correct? You're even gonna do the interiors,
Oh, yeah.
mill and overlay the interiors and overlay.
They
the
may not
exterior
be
roads.
all done the same year, but
Right.
the outside will be done the first
Yep.
time. And then the interior will probably follow the year following.
Yep. Absolutely. So there's $45,000. You might discuss that and whenever we want to do it, or how you want to do that and how to start maybe putting money aside for that out of the fund each year. But and how you do it, where you put it, it's up to you. But I would definitely think it needs to go somewhere where it's earmarked specifically for that. The only other thing I'm going to throw in on my report here, I've got an option for a water truck here. Currently Jim's got, guys, pass these down. The 2002 Chevy, 1 ton, that he is driving, and it is currently one of our plow trucks too. The water department's kind of absorbed several vehicles since the last vehicle was purchased, which I believe is the Ford Ranger that was purchased for the water department, which we still have. What you've got in front of you is for a 2020 F-250 service truck. Basically, it's about identical to mine. The only thing that I thought here was we didn't do a service body for it, which is about $9,000 give or take. The John North Ford price on this truck's $31,409 delivered. No utility bed option. Toolboxes is what I was thinking. Maybe a toolbox and a couple of side boxes. I'd ask for lenience of $2,000 on boxes for the truck on the existing bed that comes on it. And a plow mount for our existing 2009 8-foot 2-inch Power V, Boss Power V, that is currently being used on the 02 Chevy. Is approximately $1,800 to $2,100 installed by Kansas Truck Equipment. A total plow package right now is about $7,300 is what he shot me. The plow, I think, is viable for a while. There's a couple options there. Whether you wanted to put a plow on this truck, being a water truck, and buying it for the water department, that would need to be paid separately by the city out of the general fund, I would say, for streets and alleys. In buying this truck, the water districts will absorb a portion of that cost figured into the water rate each year. That's why I'm suggesting this all be kept separate. The total estimate for the truck's $35,509 with everything I just said, and that's on the high end of the $2,000 and the $2,100 for the plow mount.